We are going. Hi, everybody. We're going to get started. I just want to make sure I give a moment for people to trickle in. And while you're waiting, would love it if you could drop in the chat where you're coming in from. I'll go ahead and pull up the screen. Everybody, we're going to get started in just a minute. Please make yourselves at home. Just one more minute. I know people kind of slide in a late, so we'll just make sure we do that and then we'll get going. Right now, we have myself and two other presenters. They're going to be sharing with you today. My name is Sarah Rosso. I'm from product marketing at Smartcat. We have Sonia Madi, our solution architect, and Dmitry Chitev coming from product management. Each one of them is on the line, and we'll be taking our turns showing a little bit about Smartcat Sitecore XP integration today. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know your time's precious, so today we're going to talk a little bit about, why is this important? Why is multilingual translation important for your content? We're going to show you the Smartcat demo of the Sitecore XP integration, which is super new and something we can't wait for you all to start using. And then if we have time, and we should have a little time, we're going to answer your Q&A. One thing I'd love for you to do is if you look down at the bottom, please put your questions into the Q&A function versus the chat. That way they won't get lost and we can make sure to answer them. Some of them might be answered during, but probably we will be saving most of them for when we talk live at the end. So if you can go ahead and find that Q&A function and drop in your questions as we go along, that'd be great. So first, why translation matters. And I know folks who have already shown up here are really concerned with translation, and I know it's important, but we want to help you in case you need a couple stats to talk about it with your organizations. From a study that came out from CSA Research, 65% of folks prefer content in their own language, even if it's poor quality. And that was a surprise to me, the poor quality. Obviously, we want you to have the highest quality possible, but it shows that you're showing empathy for those folks in their own language. And especially when they're looking at, purchasing and making a decision about a buying purchase, they want to read reviews in their own language. 73%, it's huge. And there's even 40% who will not purchase from a website in another language. So I'm hoping that's helpful for you to understand a little bit more about preferences and language, and we know that it matters to you all. Now, when we start talking about translation, and this is something that our customer success teams and the rest of the Smartcat team are thinking about and helping you plan for your projects and actually translating is the different languages, regions that you might be doing. Like, is it multilingual? Are these separate sites? We have 280 languages, I think. So lots of our customers might be using different sites for different purposes. How much of that will actually be translated? These are some questions you can work through and that we're ready to help you work through in terms of kind of deciding how big the project is going to be. And just a reminder, Sitecore is one of our integrations, but we actually have several ways of integrating with Smartcat. We have an API, we have our public integration ecosystem, and also we do custom development for some customers to make sure that it fully automates within your system. There's some popular integrations on the lower right. So I know a lot of our customers are using it like not just in one place, but across much of their content infrastructure. So if that's something you need to know a little bit more about, definitely let us know. Next, we're going to switch over to the product demo. I know that's why you're here, and we'll let Sonia take over. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sarah, for that great introduction. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm super excited to show you. Like Sarah mentioned, this is a relatively newer integration on our platform. I really think it can help you all out with localizing and globalizing your company and content. And so what we really tried to do here, and I'll get into the demo in a second, is allow you the tools and the resources to seamlessly translate your content into multiple languages and really eliminate the need for you to do a lot of, intensive manual work of copying and pasting that content and communicating with whomever is going to be helping you with those translations. And kind of the crux of why we made this integration is we know companies like yours really need to have high volume of content translated, and you want to be able to manage that pretty efficiently. You want to have that consistency, not only within your English content, for example, that you're making, but across all the languages that you're going to translate your content into. And then, kind of like what we've been alluding to, is reducing the time and resources it takes for you to get all that content translated. So, for those of you, I know probably some of you have seen Smartcat before, some of you haven't, but for those of you who haven't, welcome. This is our Smartcat homepage. And I'll get into this in a second, but since we're talking about an integration, we're actually going to start our translation off within Sitecore. So
So
welcome.
I want to make sure that I don't know if your screen's up, so let me just go ahead and share, or did it still the presenting for me? Yeah, go ahead and quick little hiccup.
All right. All
I'll
right.
either, let me go ahead and stop sharing and then that'll be easier. Okay, there you go. You can jump in.
All right. Can you see my screen now, Sarah?
Not quite.
Let me
See.
reshare.
Yeah, all good. Okay, keep going.
Okay. Excuse us. There we go. Hopefully you can all see my Sitecore outline right here. And this is, of course, a demo environment. I'm sure yours is a lot more built out, a lot prettier, if I can say that. But yeah, welcome to Sitecore. And the configuration I'm not going to get into for the sake of this demo and sake of time, but it's a really quick configuration with a simple API key, a login, and then Smartcat will handle the rest of that passing back and forth of information, pulling the content, and then pushing it back directly into where it was pulled from. Once we have that configuration set up, you'll see a new tab right here in the top of the screen called Smartcat. And this is where we can manage all the translation projects and start them all from. So if I go ahead here, of course, we'll be able to connect that workspace like I mentioned. Later on, I'll show you what the full project list looks like. But in this case, I want to create a new project. So exactly what you have within your Sitecore, that tree of content, we're going to pull that directly into this pop-up here and give you the opportunity to translate, of course, one page at a time, like I'll show you in the demo. Or if you want to do a bulk translation of all that content, that's totally possible as well for you to select all of those kind of master files here. So let me go ahead and I'm going to translate our demo 2 test today. Once I select the file or files I want to translate, I can now also select the language or languages I want to translate this into. So as a platform, Smartcat supports over 280 languages and dialect, but within the Sitecore integration, we're able to parse that down into languages that are most relevant for you and your company. And so in this case, I have 5 set up here, and let's say I want to translate this into Spanish. From here, there's a last few key configurations we'll set up, including the name of the project that we're going to set up. So I'll call this webinar 2. You're able to select the workflow stages that we want. And so what we see about 90% of our customers doing is a 2-step process of AI translation and translation review by a human. So you and I know AI is great. It'll get you 80, 90% of the way there. It'll get you that efficient, quick translation you need. But then we also want to make sure that we keep a human in the loop, because the way that you're translating content to ensure that high quality and that brand consistency is something that we definitely want a human to be a part of. But since we are leveraging a 2-step process with AI and human, we're also going to be able to get a quicker turnaround time than what previously was done with that manual copying and pasting process we spoke about. So if I want to get this page back to me translated perfectly into Spanish by tomorrow, that's something that's totally possible there. I'll get a quick summary of what's going on, the pages I'm going to translate, all the source and target languages, workflow, all of that. And then I can go ahead, confirm that project, and we're going to be able to send that on over to Smartcat. Okay. Now I'll head back into my Smartcat page and refresh it quickly and show you where that project is going to show up. So within Smartcat generally, this is a really great place for you not only to keep track of all the progress of the projects you make, regardless if that's from the integration or anything else, but then also communicate and have those conversations with the people who will be working on your projects. So If I open up our projects page, you can see all of the ones we've created previously. And this is a demo account, of course. None of them really reach past 50%. But you can see the page that I just made added right here. And what we're going to be able to do, like I mentioned, is automatically pull all that content, all that copy over from Sitecore directly into our Smartcat editor, which I'll show you in a bit, and translate that using our AI engines. And to speak a little bit about the AIs, we leverage multiple AI engines, and we're going to constantly learn from the way that you like content translated, you like content edited, and how your humans are giving you that feedback for how AI is done. I'll give it a few seconds here to finish translating. And actually, for sake of time, while that loads, I'll skip over to the next step, right? So once AI is completing, it normally takes just a few seconds here. You can see it's already reaching 100%. We're going to be able now to invite that secondary step that we chose, is that human reviewer, human editor, to make sure that we're getting that highest quality that we need. So within Smartcat, I'm able to invite a few people. One, if I have someone internally who speaks the language I want to translate into, has the bandwidth to help me constantly, I can add them to my team and send a quick invitation over if I want to send it to Dimitri, for example, though I'm not sure he speaks Spanish. Or if you have someone that's going to be more of a one-off helper, so someone that you know, oh, I just met so-and-so, they have 10 minutes of their time to help me with a page, you can also send them an email or link via your preferred communication choice. But for most cases and for a lot of clients, they don't have kind of an overwhelming amount of people who have that bandwidth to help you on a more of a favor basis. And so we do have a marketplace of about 500,000 people on the platform who are willing and able to help you. And you get full transparency into who they are, what their ratings are, reviews that they've had. You can see things like their educational background, other companies they've worked with, almost too much information, if I can say that. But so you really know not only who is translating your content, but over time, if you constantly work with, Omar, for example, if you're using him over and over again, he's going to get to know you, your tone of voice, your brand image, all of that to make sure that there's that consistency as you're translating from English into Spanish. And if you have any more questions on the marketplace, please pop them into the chat. We can definitely answer those. So let's say I choose Omar and I want him to help me out with this project. I'll give you a quick peek under the hood to what this file is actually going to look like. So welcome to the Smartcat editor. As you can see, we have our English content on the left and then our Spanish translation done by AI on the right-hand side here. And I'll zoom in a tab. What Omar or any other person is going to be able to do is add any edits or changes that they think are important. So in this case, I don't speak Spanish, but I'm just going to pop in a few exclamation points there. Now, my page wasn't too pretty, but you get a preview of what they're actually translating, which is super important for language translation. Language exists so much in context, so they need to know whether they're translating a title, a subtitle, a caption of an image, a bullet point, whether it's an emoji next to the word or whatnot. And so by giving them that live preview, they're going to be able to get that full context. And you can see we can toggle between the languages. Within this editor, and kind of what I've been alluding to before, is that openness and communication you can have with everyone working on your translation. So you can leave segment and document comments, and whether that's you directing them to use a very formal tone when translating this. I know that's important for languages like Spanish. Or if Omar, for example, has a question on what's this product name, how do you want me to translate this? All of that can be communicated directly on the platform. So you're not sending emails with attachments that get lost in the inbox that I know you and I both experience probably a little bit too often. You also get full transparency into any revisions that are made. So you can kind of track exactly what's going on with your content to make sure it is of that highest quality. The last thing I think is really the most important part about Smartcat is what we call our linguistic assets. So as soon as let's say I'm Omar and I'm going ahead and making that change and confirming that edit here, as soon as that check mark is checked off as green, and I'll zoom in a bit, what we're going to be doing is actually storing that human reviewed translation into our repository of translation memories. So AI did its work. We either confirm it to be true, make a small change, and then store that there. so that the next time you upload content, a new page that maybe has the same opener or same sentences throughout, or just same taglines and all of those things, instead of relying on that straight AI translation, which is good, we're actually going to use your previous edits to automatically confirm these segments. And so what that's really going to mean for you is, of course, if you're leveraging a third-party linguist, reduce cost because you're not going to have to look at as many texts and words. You're also going to get a quicker turnaround time. I've had clients who've been using Smartcat for years and they upload a document and 70% of it is all green, good to go. And so that's a really quick turnaround time for the linguist to review. And then most importantly, like we talked about, consistency for brand image, consistency for translation across languages. And so that is definitely important. The second thing that I want to mention is we can also proactively make a glossary of key terms and phrases that are important for your company. So whether that's company name, product names, taglines, slogans. Say, for example, this seamless, scalable, smart tagline that you see here, I don't want translated. We can store that. And so you're also getting consistency that way, where we're automatically going to use your preferred translation or maybe not translated at all. But I'll go ahead, say I'm happy with everything. I'm Omar. I'm checking this off. I think this is a beautiful translation. And I will press done on this project, which will alert you saying, hey, project has been completed translating. Let's head back into Sitecore and see what that looks like. Now within Sitecore, I went ahead and translated that demo to project. And I'll actually give you a preview of all the projects that we have here. So as you can see, we've tested that a few times, but this project that we made here has now been marked as completed because Omar, or I guess in this case, I checked that done off. As soon as I see that status turn green, I can go ahead and download this page, make sure that I'm getting all that great content and those great edits pulled right back into Sitecore. Once that's done, I can go ahead, republish my page, and I'm just doing this to show you what that final version would look like, and actually preview what that new page will translate as. So as you can see here, we have our English content, which I showed previously, and I think I opened up the wrong page, so excuse me. There we go. Go ahead and publish that and preview this page. We have the webinar demo that you saw previously in English, and now if I go ahead into our versions and select the Spanish that we just did, you can see the translation is there, fully formatted, even with these silly edits that I made. And ready to be shared with everyone within who wants to see it. And so hopefully from this demo, what you could see is really just how easy it is. And I know I went into some detail of actually taking those pages, pushing them into Smartcat, letting us be the facilitator for the workflow that you're going to have with AI translation, inviting humans in, giving you the benefit of using those linguistic assets to reduce turnaround time, increase that consistency there, and then simply press download within Sitecore and have your page ready to be published. And this is really, like I mentioned, going to reduce that turnaround time for both kind of small updates on a page per page ad hoc basis, or as you're going through a full multilingual overhaul of all your content, it'll be done pretty seamlessly. You're going to get that consistency and quality, like I mentioned, so that your taglines, smart, seamless, whatever it is that I wrote is going to be consistent across all languages. And then also, this is a pretty scalable solution. So as we're going ahead and maybe you have your pages translated into Spanish, but now we want to go into German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, we're able to just increase the amount of languages you're going to be translating into pretty seamlessly and in a pretty automated way. So I hope this really gave you a preview, and I know that was relatively quick, but I hope that kind of shows you just how quick it is to translate the content from your Sitecore into any languages you need. Thank you so much. I think, Sarah, I can pass it on back to you.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I will pull up. Hold on. We just saw the product demo, and actually we have a bunch of questions coming in the chat as well as in the Q&A. We'd love it if you actually put those in the Q&A just so we can make sure to get to them. And I'm going to pull some of them up now. Okay, I definitely saw several times asking about the Sitecore XM Cloud version, and we're getting that from Seth and from. So just for folks who are listening to this later and can't see the questions, are you using Sitecore XM Cloud version? So we are using the XP version for the demo, but the plugin will be working in both XP and XM Cloud. So I just want to make that clear for folks. And we'll definitely be communicating that to everybody and how you can get a hold of that. And then we had another question about if we're able to upload a file to translate if it exists in a different platform in CMS. And so, you know, we actually do direct file translation. So one of the things, let me see if I can go back to that. Yeah, if you see here, we have a lot of use cases that you can do. A lot of folks actually love to upload directly files and get those translated. So depending on the platform, we can definitely answer that. And we have a lot of popular integrations in other platforms. So I think the question Uberflip Factory. I'll follow up on that. I'm not sure specifically, depending on the format the file is in, we might be able to handle it. But I'll make a note, Mallory, to get back to you on that. Any other questions? I don't know if there's some in the chat. Let me go ahead and dig in there that we haven't answered, but it'd be easier if you could put them into the Q&A. I'll wait for a moment. I know some people might be shy. And I'm going to put this one up as well. If you want to have one of our customer success folks or solutions team dig into some of those questions that I talked about at the very beginning of like understanding your project and your site and the different content that you have, what's involved, how many languages, like Sonia said in the demo, we have 280 languages and dialects, and she selected some top ones, but you could be putting in the ones directly that your company needs, and we can help you set that up as well. So the next best step is booking a demo, or at least talking to one of our customer success folks about your needs. I see a couple more things coming in through the chat. Just want to make sure I can see. Is it possible to train the copywriters ahead of time? We usually have our dedicated copywriters trained, as some topics can be very tricky. We have our writing guidelines. So that's a good question. I do want to mention that one of the things that the AI on SmartCat does is it recognizes the type of content that you're uploading. So when you saw that list of freelancers that it was proposing, it's presenting those because of the experience that they have in the content that was uploaded. So if you have something that's in manufacturing, it's going to give you suggestions of folks that already have manufacturing experience in Spanish. So the matching should be a little more attuned specifically to your content, but that's something I'm sure you can, give them the guidelines and work with them on that. Okay, so a couple more questions. How does licensing of this work? Is it separate? This is included in your SmartCat license. We work on consumption, so you're going to use smart words to translate. Hope that answers that. Can I use my existing translation memory? I'm going to let Sonia, why don't you jump in there?
Yeah,
I know the answer, but I want you to have
you
some
definitely
chances.
you definitely can. Yeah, so we are everything you make or use on the platform is totally yours to use, and we do have the option for you to upload any existing translation memory, put it into SmartCat, which will actually give you that leg up. So instead of using straight AI, day one, you'll actually get to use those translation memories from previous vendors or wherever else you have them.
Yeah, we have
And
glossaries
then
available as well.
Mhm. And then the follow-up question I think there was, can I translate multiple languages at once? Yes. In this case, I just translated into Spanish, but if you wanted to translate the content into all 280 dialects and languages at once, that is totally possible. And then kind of on the vein to a question that we spoke about earlier in terms of files, you can also upload multiple files or pages at once at a time. And so with this integration in the Sitecore, you can upload multiple pages. But if you take it separately to the file side, you can upload a video, an XLIF, Excel file, a PowerPoint, a document all at once into multiple languages. We're really flexible to meet you where you need us to be. And then I see another question. Do I always have to edit the translation before I post it back? So there's options there, right? What I showed you here is kind of the most common workflow where we know that the pages on Sitecore are going to be pretty visible to, end users. And so we want to make sure that it is of that highest quality. But of course, our AI is great. We're going to constantly learn from the way that you're editing. So if you want to just do a quick push over into Smartcat with just AI and pull it back within the same minute, that is totally possible for you to do as well. There is, of course, the opportunity to leverage those translation memories and glossaries to make that AI translation better. So if you're using our platform for a few years, you can have full trust that AI will do a pretty good job. In the beginning, though, I think, especially for content like Sitecore content, it's always good to have a human in the loop there, as I'm sure you and I can both understand. See another question. Where is data stored? Who has access to it? We're a global firm. So our SmartCat data and all the content is going to be held within your own private organization and workspaces. So that is very specific towards you. We're not going to be training engines as a whole based on your content. So no other companies are going to be able to see, leverage, or use any of the content you've been translating or any of the edits that your linguists have made. Um, and we're very secure. We work with some of the top, Fortune 100 companies going through extensive vetting processes on our securities. And so if you have any questions about, or specific questions on security and kind of where the data is hosted, I'd love to book a demo and I'm happy to speak with you about that in regards to specific concerns that you have. See, another question, can I turn off AI components? Yes, you totally can. Of course, we like to push AI as a way to make that turnaround time a little faster and kind of leverage this good technology. But if you are really against AI, you can still leverage our platform as just a space to host that workflow. So pulling content automatically, getting that human in there to complete that translation for you and pushing it back. So we're not, there's no need here. And I guess kind of the difficult thing with answering these questions is there is so much flexibility within SmartCat that there's no, one correct answer for any of the questions regarding workflow.
Yeah, exactly. I think like there are some customers even that may have, a marketplace person and then an internal validator. So it's really the workflow that you decide to set up that works right for you is possible. Okay. I think we're getting close to the end. I'm not sure if we're gonna have time um for other questions. Maybe one more that's coming in. Let's see. Question about the distinction between Gen AI and regular machine translation. Sonia, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so on SmartCat, we kind of have two facets to the platform right now. We have that machine translation, like you saw us do, where we're leveraging AI to give you that instantaneous translation. I spoke about it in depth, so I'll kind of breeze over that. And then also within the platform, we have a whole side that is more generative AI. So what we've built out kind of initially is a course creator where you're able to take your content, AI prompts, and then we'll generate an entire course for you that way. And we're going to expand this into different markets, of course, not just for L&D, but it's the ability to leverage AI, leverage content you've translated in the past to give you now new content that can be uploaded into platforms like learning platforms, or in the future, Sitecore or other types of CFMs or CMSs, excuse me.
Great. Well, I know we still probably have a couple questions. There's a QR code on your screen that'll take you directly to a place to book a demo, but you can also reach out to one of us via email or reply to your webinar booking email and let us know that you need a little bit more information. So we want to be available for your next steps, and we really appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you everyone for coming, and we'll be following up with you, but definitely reach out, please.